Hey, it's Jordan. I'm joined by Colin Cornett. You are one of the coal miners that have been blocking this train in Kentucky. It's a train that is trying to transport coal that you mined. You're with Black Jewel, which after the company went bankrupt, they have basically stiffed you and your coworkers, if I understand it right. You're all owed about $4,200. Can you kind of talk about, from the beginning, when did you guys find out the company was going bankrupt, and how quickly after that did things kind of turn for the worse?
I was actually on vacation. We were on the beach. First day on Monday, uh, July the 1st, a coworker messaged me, wanted to know what was going on at the mines. And I waited till I got back to the house, messaged him, and found out they'd sent everybody home. Wednesday morning, we had just got to the beach, and I was told to check my bank account. Our money had been clawed back.
And this was about 3 weeks ago, a month ago?
This was July the 3rd when they clawed the money back.
Okay. And what is the company saying? Are they saying you're going to be paid back, but it's going to take a while through the bankruptcy process, or they've just said you're not going to be paid?
My understanding is that we will be paid. And just right now, it's just a time-consuming process.
Hmm. And obviously, I mean, you're a coal miner, so you're working, every paycheck counts. So the fact that they've stiffed you for these paychecks, what have you started? Have you had to tighten your belt? Have you missed some bills? Kind of talk about the pressure on you and your coworkers.
Um, I've been able to defer a few things, but for the most part, you know, everything still has to come out. The lights still have to be on. The water still has to be paid. You tighten up where you can. Uh, you know, and the bigger concept and the bigger grasp of this is what it's going to eventually do to Harlan County. The bigger part being is that now 300 men in Harlan County aren't spending money like they used to spend money. And eventually it's going to start affecting schools, affect the hospital, affect the local businesses, as the dynamics of the county changes due to this. There is hope. The Black Mountain and the Lone Mountain were purchased by Copperville, a mining company out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and they have come out and said they want to put up $450,000 to begin with, and another $550,000 to try to make this right through royalties over, I think, the next 2 years, if I'm not mistaken on that.
So a totally separate company is offering to pay for this back pay?
Yeah. Yes, a totally separate company that, had no dealing in this until their acquisition of Black Mountain and Lone Mountain.
Okay.
Have stepped up.
And are they then trying to hire you folks that were with this company, Black Jewel?
Yes. Last Friday, I was contacted about if I want to come in and put an application in with the company at the mine site. But, this is the process too. There's permits. There's going to be several other things that have to come into play here.
Mm-hmm. And talk about what it's like day by day, because you and your coworkers, which I'm sure it's kind of like a band of brothers type of thing, are basically standing on that track blocking the train, and that is coal that you guys mined. What is the mood there? Is it pissed off, depressed, angry, a mix of everything?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I think the mood amongst more people is just disappointed. Just disappointed that we went to work and we made sacrifices to make the company a profit with limited resources. That's something that doesn't get talked about a whole lot is the reason why nobody realized they were going into bankruptcy is because we always ran a really tight ship. And So when they tightened it back up, nobody thought, for the most part, nobody thought anything about it because we ran like that for the 2 years that I worked for them.
So basically, they were squeezing as much orange out of the juice, or juice out of the orange, yes. And then mismanagement or whatever the reason, they don't pay back the people that actually were responsible for the production.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And talk about the town. Have local leaders, local politicians, local whomever been trying to pressure the company? What's the kind of support you've been getting?
There's a class action lawsuit filed against the company that we work for, 2 sister companies, and the president of the company and his son, who were the board of directors, so to speak. They all share the same common denominator of people. It's just they have a different name. As far as like local support, our judge executive, Dan Mosley, has done a great job trying to react the best way that he can in this situation. Because he's smart enough. He's smart enough of a man to realize what kind of impact this is going to have on this county.
And this is the judge?
Yeah, judge executive.
Okay. Because has local authorities or anybody been trying to remove you guys from the tracks?
Nobody has tried to remove anybody from the tracks, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's been very peaceful because that's the most important thing. Whenever we went to West Virginia, we were very respectful in the courtroom of the judge and of the proceedings. Because it's important, that people don't lose sight of, at the end of the day, these are real people that are just like anybody else working any other job. It doesn't matter what job that you work, you expect your pay to be there. Mm-hmm. Whenever they write you a check, you expect it to be good. Mm-hmm. And the company wrote 1,100 checks knowing that they didn't have the money to cover this.
Wow. And kind of talk about, I'm not talking about the campaign or politics, but just in general, there's this push politically that, companies treat their workers right, fight for 15, workers' rights, unionization, these kinds of things. And companies, since the 2008 crash, have been basically doing what you've said, which is making way less people do way more, and quote, tightening their belts. But do you think this is part of a broader trend of corporations being able to pretty much get away with murder when it comes to their workers?
Yes, but I think that through the plight that the country has seen that we've been through, I feel like this can be something that will change. Mm-hmm. And I hope it does. In the state of Kentucky, we had 2 representatives come down, and they're gonna make it where that Kentucky has a wage bond set in effect for construction and mine workers, that the company has to post so much money up front to keep this from happening. There was a loophole, which is how that this happened. I don't know. I don't understand that stuff. But there was a loophole. And, they're trying to make sure that in Kentucky that we can close this loophole. Now, I think throughout the rest of the nation that, people need to be aware that this can happen to them. So many times it's easy for us to see people and say, well, that's just happening to them. That isn't really that big of a deal. That isn't that important. But, whenever it comes to your door, it's a whole other ball game.
Right. And what's been the reaction? I know you mentioned, I don't think McConnell has gone there. I think his office made a statement. Are they trying to compel the company to pay the local leaders, or there's not much they could do?
The U.S. Department of Labor has all the coal that they ran up there deemed as hot goods.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Department of Labor and President Trump's stance is that that coal don't move until we get paid.
Right.
That was from the Department of Labor, through the president. And and that's very comforting, to know that he will stand up there and say, "Hey, you're going to have to pay these people. They work for you."
Mm-hmm. And obviously, coal nationally is a controversial topic. A lot of people think we need to move away from coal. But in Kentucky, I mean, it's one of the biggest economic industries. So, like you were saying, it's not just Harlan, but if coal miners start getting stiffed, it could bring down the entire economy, which is not exactly a vibrant economy anywhere. Anyway, I mean, there's issues with healthcare in Kentucky. I think it's still a very low minimum wage. So can you kind of talk about how important coal mining is still to Kentucky?
Now, I think coal mining, it's not just important to Kentucky, it's also important to this nation. Part of us having freedom from the influence of other countries is that we have our own natural resources. A lot of times people, they want to paint coal miners off as just ignorant hillbillies. And that's not a fair assumption. It's not a fair assessment. I know whenever Eastern Kentucky got named a promise area by President Obama, they were going to bring jobs in. You can't replace a $20-some an hour job with an $8 an hour job and think you've done something good for the people, because you've not. If we want to see real improvement, then he should have, whenever President Obama did that, he should have stressed to develop higher paying jobs.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people here that have worked manual labor for a long time that are still able to work.
Right.
And that can work. And it love to work. 18 years of my life, I've been spent underground. Mm-hmm. I'm very close with a lot of the men that I work with. They are family to me.
Mm-hmm.
And Harlan is my home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a third generation coal miner. My dad was a coal miner. His dad was a coal miner. Around in areas like Harlan that have been coal dependent for jobs, it's very much your identity.
Right.
And, no matter where I go in life, I'm still a coal miner.
Mm-hmm.
That's still part of my identity. And I'm proud of that heritage.
Right.
And, I'm proud of the sacrifices that my dad made and his dad made. And I'm not of the belief that we need to get the push away from coal. Because at the end of the day, there's real people here. There's real people that have worth that aren't getting represented fairly.
Now, there's one thing to be prideful, but if as technology and environmental opportunities change, it sounds like coal miners are open to other work as long as you're paid fairly and paid the same wages for your work, whether it's renewables, these kinds of things. It really, what I'm hearing is you're proud that you've done this work, but like under President Obama, if you're gonna be trying to pull away the work you do, like coal mining, you need to be replacing it with something that you could live off of and gives you a fair wage. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can have the greatest idea in the world, but if there's no feasible way to make it happen, I mean, it's a useless idea. And,
right.
It was great whenever he deemed this a promise area.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all he did, was just deem it a promise. Well, I'm still sitting there waiting on the promise.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't live extravagant. I have a family support just like 90% of the rest of America. And all that I ask is that to be given a fair wage, actually just be given a wage. At this point, I just want to be given a wage. I've done work 3 weeks for nothing.
Right.
To make somebody richer.
And for people watching that aren't from Kentucky, obviously you guys are out there on the train tracks. What should people around the country, would you like them to send things to you guys? How could they support you if they're not there? What do you want people to know?
I just want people to understand that at the end of the day, that this just doesn't affect some coal miners from eastern Kentucky, southwest Virginia, and West Virginia, and out in Wyoming. That this very much could affect, their job. And that's the bigger thing. Is this is a bigger issue than just the coal industry. This is about you being assured that whenever you go to work and you work for somebody, that your wages are there.
Mm. Thanks so much.
To me, that's what it is.
I agree. I appreciate you taking the time, and we'll stay in touch as you guys continue to protest out there for your wages. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statusquo.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statusquo.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.